cool. I thought this would be fun. He's basically all but announced his campaign here. So I figure we can take a look at this. I specifically found Hasan's reaction to Cenk's announcement pretty funny. And it seems pretty indicative of most progressives' response to Cenk's plan here. But yeah, let's take a look at this. This was pretty good.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? I'm sorry, we spoke for 2 hours and 17 minutes.
Brother, you're going to ask me if I'm running for president.
Oh yeah, you're running for president. So what's going on? What's your goal here? Why are you running for president?
Okay, first of all, it's not official. I've got to get a staff together. When it's 100% for sure, obviously I'll let you guys know it's 100%. But the reason why I'm very seriously considering it, leaning in that direction, is because I think there's about a 90% chance that Joe Biden's going to lose. Point one is, unlike Democrats in D.C., I actually think democracy's on the line. I actually think Trump is a fascist, and I think that the country's going to have a very tough.
By the way, Cenk has really been repeating this line a lot, that there's a 90% chance Biden's going to lose. And while I do agree that Biden is a weak candidate and that it's certainly way too soon to like pound the gavel or anything like that, or say that Trump's certainly not going to win, I don't think it's 90% chance that Biden loses. Like, I just don't think it's 90%. I think it's probably like a 50% chance.
I think it's
that he
about
loses.
50-50 right now. I think, and that's with the incumbency bias. And I think that's what shows that he's a weak candidate, right? Like for an incumbent candidate, it should really be like 60-40, like 55-45 if it was competitive. But like, and it'll just come down to the electoral college. But I think that Biden's doing himself a huge favor with the fucking swing states, as Ryan Grimm mentioned, by showing out for the UAW.
Right.
Unions writ large.
Plus, let's be honest, if Cornel West is not going to be on all the ballots as a Green Party candidate, if he's only going to be on, if he's not going to be on as many ballots, that also might make it easier for Joe Biden. Also, RFK might take some votes from Donald Trump. That might make it easier for Joe Biden. So I'm not saying that it's a done deal for Biden. But I don't agree that it's a 90% chance that he loses. I think it's more like 50-50.
Time recovering if Trump wins election again. But the Democrats say, yes, well, on the other hand, we have to bow down to authority. And Joe Biden is the authority figure. So we must all obey him. And if it means we lose our democracy, well, at least we weren't impolite to Joe Biden and Democratic leaders.
So I agree with you. I think that Democrats have portrayed every single election as the most important election of our lifetimes. And in some respects, it is true. However, I do think that if that was the case, then the Democratic Party, or if they actually believe it, they wouldn't put up Joe Biden. They would not have put up Joe Biden last time around, especially when the deck of talent was significantly wider. Of course, you had Bernie Sanders, but even on the neoliberal side, even on the corporate Democrat side, you had way more talent, at least younger talent, that could have absolutely defeated Donald Trump. So now Joe's chances of losing are even larger, despite the fact that if it was, and I do firmly believe this, if it was anyone else, if it was like the same policies that Joe Biden has implemented, some of which I do agree with, I think like the federal agencies have done a pretty good job, NLRB specifically. But if he was a younger guy, if he was the old retail politician Joe, he would be winning by Reagan margins.
Yeah,
I think.
So,
but he's not.
Yeah. So first off, on the most important election stuff, I'm on the record. I mean, and I've been doing this a long time. 1996, Bill Clinton versus Bob Dole. At every election, they say it's the most important election. And I said, no, this is the least important election of our lifetimes. Clinton and Dole's policies are nearly indistinguishable. And in 2012, and this will make some heads explode, Mitt Romney versus Barack Obama, a very unimportant election. So Barack Obama winning the first time around, very important. Second time around, sure, I voted for Obama. Of course, Obama is better than Romney. But I mean, Obamacare was previously called Romneycare, literally the same policy, right? They're both, one's a corporate Democrat, the other one's a corporate Republican. Yeah, there's issues around the margins, but overall, not earth-shattering. Mitt Romney would have done things that were very similar to Barack Obama, right? So now, this is earth-shattering. Donald Trump tried a coup. He has a fake elector scheme, and he wanted to, we start the riot, we delay the vote, and then we kick it back to the states. The state Republican legislators install the fake electors. The House votes for Trump, lead the coup. I'm not letting that freaking fascist back into office. He's never going to let go. He doesn't believe in democracy. He doesn't believe in America. Democrats think, generally speaking, Democratic Party leadership thinks, yeah, but Bernie Sanders is worse because we're all corrupt and we all want to make tons and tons of money. At least Donald Trump still is corrupt, just like us, and he'll lower corporate taxes. All of us, our lobbyists will, party in the streets, etc. So they're not taking it seriously when they need to take it fucking seriously. Things are going to change drastically in this country if Trump wins. Is Biden going to lose? Well, when Biden won in 2020, won by only 44,000 votes in the Electoral College in 3 swing states. So razor thin margin. At that time, he was polling at 52%. Right now, he's polling at 39%. That is 13 points lower. Why in the world would we go into an election with a guy polling 13 points lower than when he barely beat Trump in the first place? And now the Democrats have to win by 5, the popular vote, to win the Electoral College. Joe Biden won by 4.5 and barely squeaked by. You got to get to 5 to be even close to comfortable, right?
Yeah.
Joe Biden now losing by 1.2 points in the average of the polls. Okay. So that means he's down by at least 6 to Donald Trump. No one should be down to Donald Trump. Donald Trump is incredibly unpopular. 55% of the country despises Donald Trump. And if you're losing to Donald Trump, you suck at politics. I don't mean the Republicans. I get it. In a Republican primary, he's very popular. But in a general election, a Democrat should be
they suck
mauling Donald Trump. But they do suck.
I agree.
So now, my thing.
So what is your impact going to be?
So my impact is, for God's sake, get Biden out of the goddamn race. So there's a couple of different scenarios here. Number one,
Hassan is so
if somehow I get to 20, and remember RFK Jr. got near 20.
me?
Okay, so it's not at all
16,
impossible,
which
right?
is crazy.
Right.
RFK
So-
Jr. is currently in the teens. Well, the speculation at the moment is that he will take more away from Donald Trump than
Right.
he
He's
will
going
from
independent, so he's not
Joe
in the
Biden.
Democratic Party anymore. So he's gone.
But
So if
no,
I
but
get to
as an
20
independent, he will play the role of a spoiler, not for the Democratic Party, but instead for the Republican Party. Is the speculation at the moment?
Yeah, I'm with you, but that's not relevant to the Democratic primaries. my
Okay.
point.
So how are you going to get into the primaries?
So if I get into the primaries and I get to about 20 points, everyone will panic. You recognize that? Like,
What I don't get though is that RFK did get to 20. He just said that. He basically just said that RFK got to 20 and the panic did not occur. All these governors and other Democrats did not jump in the race like he's predicting will happen if he jumps in the race and gets to 20%. So I'm like, RFK already tried this out, didn't work. Marianne also kind of tried this out. She didn't get quite as far as he did, but it also didn't trigger some great primary. So I'm just like, how is Cenk somehow getting to 20%, which isn't even going to happen in the first place? How is that going to trigger it? I don't get this theory at all.
Yeah, I mean, the Democratic primary, I mean, I just looked at the last one that I saw. It had RFK at 15 points, okay? So at some point he had 15 points, potentially a few higher than that. Maybe he hit 16, 17 points in a few good polls. Okay, you also typically have Marianne Williamson with like 6% of the support in those polls. So that's already adding up to, say, 21% of the public pulling away from Joe Biden. Cenk poised to come in and get what, like, I mean, half a percentage point of support in a polling. I don't even know if he could clear that. I don't even know if he could clear half a percentage point. I don't even think they would measure him, guys. I think that he would be at a perpetual, like, think about how, like, in the crowded race in 2020, was it? Yeah, it was 2020. Andrew Yang, right? The Yang
Right.
Gang, the 2020 primary. God, it feels like so long and so close at the same time. I'm like trying to make sure that all my years get fucking correct. But anyway, that dude was like struggling to get above like fucking 2%, 3% in the fucking polls, right? That was Andrew Yang. That guy had a whole Yang Gang movement. Childish Gambino endorsed that guy. Dave Chappelle endorsed that. You know what I'm saying? Do you see where I'm going at? Cenk Uygur is just delusional, and I thought that those delusions would be shattered to your regular thinking person. They would be after you perform terribly in a congressional run in an open jungle primary in California's 25th congressional district, and you putting home 6,600 votes. Okay, you are not the guy to be giving advice right now. You are not the guy to be giving advice right now. You are certainly not the guy to be threatening to throw your fucking hat in the. Are you kidding me? It's obnoxious. It is an element of a personality disorder, frankly. And while I think you have to possess that personality disorder to become president, a lot of people just embarrass themselves along the way. That's what Cenk's poised to do.
so if I get to 25,
how?
it'll be a 5-alarm fire in DC.
Okay, but how do you get into the primaries to begin with?
Run. So I'm do background work. You get on the ballots. So is it easy to get on the ballots? Well, actually, for 48 out of the 50 states, it's not overwhelming. You collect signatures. We have a lot of passion. Collecting signatures shouldn't be that big a deal. Money, we're going to be able to raise decent amount of money, is my guess. So there are several different obstacles in my path for sure. It is nowhere near easy. It'll be incredibly
I'm not
difficult.
from America.
But if the polling
that's
shows
problem
we
one.
want someone else, then Whitmer, Newsom, Pritzker, Shapiro, all those governors will come.
Billionaire shouldn't
crushing it,
exist,
okay?
but should run
Now, if
for
I
a
beat those
president.
governors-
That's a Cenk level analysis. I'm the billionaire shouldn't exist guy, but let me just go ahead and tap the shoulder of a billionaire because I don't know. I'm abandoning my policies for some reason, but also please you should listen to my analysis.
Yeah, this is so dumb. And this is what really makes me think it's all just about like generating hype for his book. Because if he was actually serious about this theory, then he would have jumped into the race when Marianne Williamson did, like at the very beginning. Now it's way too late to trigger this sort of a primary. Like Cenk's whole theory is that I'm going to do so well, get to 20%, that it's going to freak out the other Democratic elites. It's going to trigger an actual primary with people like Whitmer and Newsom and Pritzker all jumping in to challenge Joe Biden. And I actually think that's a decent theory, but only if he had started at the appropriate time. It's far, far too late for that right now, because even if Cenk is correct, say he launches his campaign in November and then takes like 2 or 3 months to generate the hype and momentum necessary to get to 20%, which again isn't going to happen, but say it theoretically did, even if that happened, by then it's way, way too late. It's way too late for people like J.B. Pritzker and Gretchen Whitmer and Gavin Newsom to get an actual campaign ready. Like, you don't just start a presidential campaign like because you feel like it after an impulse one morning. Like, it takes a lot of months of getting a staff ready and getting the ground game necessary if you're actually going to do it in a serious way, in a way that someone like Gavin Newsom or Gretchen Whitmer would do it if they were to do it. Now, Cenk wouldn't do it in a serious way because obviously it's not a serious effort. It's really just a vanity campaign and a promotional event for his book. But like I said, if he really was serious about triggering this sort of primary, he would have had to jump in the race way sooner, because at this point it's just way, way too late. And by the time any of those people would even consider getting involved, like I said, they just wouldn't have the operation necessary to pull it off. So I just think his theory is dead on arrival.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. He's gonna have a hard time. It's hard to even take it seriously because, yeah, either he's so fucking delusional and he's about to embarrass himself so badly and do like an epic high dive belly flop into an empty pool, or he's just doing a really bad job of making people like hype for his book. It's like, it's just bad promotion because it's so unbelievable. It's like, dude, you already did this one time. It went so badly and it was at a much lower scale. You think you're going to make a wave at a national level in a presidential race late to the party? Everybody is going to ignore you because you won't be, you'll be like a fly at a picnic table. They'll just bat you away and forget about you. It's stupid. This is ridiculous.
Fantastic. But the point is, it can't be Biden because Biden is almost certainly going to lose. And we can't lose this election. And Haas, they're not going to run because they bow their
Hasan's
head
like your height,
in the
Gavin.
Democratic Party leadership. They think it's heresy to run against them. I'm saying it's heresy not to run. So why am I running instead of someone else? Because I literally tried to get every other person in the race. I asked all the progressives to run. They wouldn't run. I asked all the Democratic governors to run. They wouldn't run. So somebody's got to do something because we're going to hit that iceberg. So if we're going to hit the iceberg, okay, I will get so much abuse for running. It will be legendary, right? All the media will hate me or ignore me, right?
They will ignore you.
Nothing but abuse. But I'm not
What
just going to
will
go
happen?
quietly into that
Fringe lunatic
no one else
announces
is
candidate.
running, and nobody.
Like, I'm sorry. What do you expect? Like, you have so, like, dude, he has such delusions of grandeur. It's crazy. Like, say what you will about our podcast and how we're fucking peanut sized. We know it. We're not out here, but like, we're gonna change the fucking political guy. No, you're not, dude. You're a loudmouth on YouTube, and sometimes in passing, people like to listen to your commentary and your analysis and your presentation of the news. That's it. That they don't want you to be their president, pal. They don't want you to be their president.
Yeah. It's pretty hilarious. Even Cenk's own audience at this point is pretty divided on how they feel about the guy. Like, TYT has never been more controversial within the demographic of, political audience that they claim to speak for, the progressives. Progressives are not at this point universally excited about TYT, about Cenk and Anna. We just got off their biggest controversy where like half the entire progressive media jumped ship and all had to come out here and like burn the bridge with Cenk and Anna because of their bullshit transphobia and stuff. Fucking Benny, one of their own employees, left the organization because of it. All their moderators quit en masse. Like, Cenk can't even get progressives excited about this idea. How the fuck is he going to unite the country?
He wants Joe Biden. I'm going to run and I'm going to force the issue.
So best case scenario is you run and then the media hates you, which they will do that. You did it in fucking the California jungle primary, or not jungle primary, the jungle special election. That's when New York Times said you agree with David Duke and are a supporter of bestiality. So that's the best case scenario, is that the New York Times calls you a supporter of bestiality. The worst case scenario is they just don't talk about you, and then you have the same approval rating or the same polling results as Marianne Williamson.
So, Haas, what you're pointing out,
I think he would do
the number
worse
one
than
problem that
Marianne
progressives have
by a
is
margin.
mainstream media hates us, and they have a massive corporate bias, status quo bias, and then they call, oh, that's objective position. The objective position is to be in favor of corporate rule, and so all the progressives are radicals and in favor of bestiality and whatever else that they're making up. And then what the New York Times
Can we
did,
pause it
that
one more
congressional
time?
race, let alone CNN, LA Times,
I'm pretty sure Cenk has already come up with all of the sentences that he will ever use in his entire life, and he's just constantly like reorganizing them and like shuffling them around depending on the circumstance that he's in. He just says the same shit over and over and over again, bro. Oh my, it's so annoying. It makes it hard for me to finish this clip. It's like, Cenk, I already know what the fuck you're gonna say. I can't, like, you're agonizing me. Like, yes, we know exactly what all of your takes are on the mainstream. The mainstream media hates us. They hate us. And I've heard it before, brother, like a million times.
etc., was basically mask off moment for them, where they're like, we're just going to make things up. We're just going to lie about this guy, right? Period. No subtlety, no nuance. Just going to lie after lie. So I am perfectly aware of those things. But Haas, dynamic has changed to some degree. So I, for my book, before the presidential thing came out, I've already been on 20 shows or so, right? Those 20 shows didn't even exist 4 years ago, so definitely 8 years ago, right? So now there's a whole different ecosystem where you can get your message out. Can you get your message out enough to get name recognition in 4 months to be able to beat Joe Biden? Not necessarily, but it's a fighter's chance. And the only thing we have left is a fighter's chance. So I will go on every show, no matter if the right wing, left wing, they disagree with me, they agree with me. I don't care. I'll go and I'll make the case. Look,
Okay,
the
here's
Democrats
the thing,
never
Cenk.
deliver.
Here's the
And
thing,
this,
Cenk. The phrase is a puncher's chance, and that's because before they would put out some fucking journeyman boxer up against some guy that's hungry as shit and about to brutalize you in front of everybody else for a spectacle as you like get him ready for the big show. That you would technically, yes, you would have a puncher's chance. Anybody can throw a punch the right time and get a knockout. That's how carnival people get fucking idiots to sign up for shit. Like, this is not a good sales pitch for your presidential. Oh, we're gonna have a puncher's chance, man. We're gonna have a puncher's chance. No, you're not, dude. You're gonna go get out there and get played. And anybody that's dumb enough to donate to you is like a mark. And honestly, they fucking deserve to flush their capital down the drains, because it's like, dude, how are you gonna milk this for? I mean, the thing about Cenk is that, oh, we're gonna fundraise a bunch of money. Like, who are you going to get it from? Hasan's audience? Because it's ain't coming from your audience, and I don't think that you're really making the sales pitch to your nephew right now that you think you're making. Of like, he's looking at the numbers in Hasan's Twitch live stream. He's like, we're live for 50,000 people, and I'm like, yeah, 50,000 people that ain't going to fucking vote for you, Cenk, and aren't going to answer the phone if any pollers call him, and aren't going to participate in your whole grand strategy here. And look, your own fucking nephew is just like, he's just annoyed. He's just annoyed like the rest of us that he has to sit here for fucking 13 more minutes and listen to you fucking drivel about your hopeless campaign. It's embarrassing.
Yep. And of course, the context that you guys aren't privy to is that the previous 2 hours of this conversation was basically a debate over crime and transphobia. So this is after Cenk has been rattling off all of his bullshit talking points about crime and how stupid abolitionists are and how crazy defund the police is. And, Americans are just put off by the radical trans activists. So that's what Hasan has been hearing and trying to debate for the last 2 hours. And I think that kind of explains his complete lack of enthusiasm here. It's a little bit harder to get inspired about Cenk's candidacy after you listen to him sound like a Fox News talking head for 2 hours.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's like he has no base. There's no base for him.
Right.
Sure, if I win, I'm going to do everything in the world to make sure we pass those progressive laws, and nothing's going to stand in my way, and I will break anything in my path to make sure that I do that. And everybody who knows me, whether they like me or they dislike me, they know I'm not full of shit, right? They know that I'm a fighter, and I'm going to go fight for those things.
Actually, I quite literally do know that you're full of shit, Cenk. That's the problem. Cenk says a lot of things that sound good. Obviously, TYT, says a lot of things that I agree with when it comes to progressive policies, Medicare for all, a lot of the Bernie crat kind of stuff. Obviously, I agree with his political message to a large extent, at least when it comes to like economic stuff, Medicare for all, paid family leave. The problem, Cenk, is that we do know that you're full of shit. The problem is that we do know that you're a fucking hypocrite, that you talked about the importance of organizing and of labor rights and of union, and then tried to break your own union at TYT. We know that you preached against the corrupting influences of billionaire money.
Want anybody to separate himself from his staff. Man. It was so hard to build this from the ground up, man. He just thought that, you know what, what's more sense this bureaucracy, man.
Right. Anyway, like that's kind of the problem, Cenk, is that we all know that you don't actually walk the walk. You just talk the talk. You pretend to understand why it's bad to take billionaire money, but then TYT does the exact same shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of the problem, Cenk. And I think that's really a big part of the reason why this is going to be unsuccessful, because of the fact that people know you're a hypocrite, that you're not actually serious about this. And sure, you're going to say things that people agree with. You're going to speak to needs that Americans actually have, but no one believes that you actually have a chance of winning, let alone would even be a good leader were you to win. Like, I genuinely don't think Cenk would be that good of a fucking president or a leader of a political movement. Look how he's run TYT. The guy's a total narcissist. He raises money from his audience over and over again just to squander it, you know, basically fucking defrauding people quite literally with the amount of money he raised to bring on new reporters or to, you know, start ventures that never materialize into anything. This guy's a fucking scam artist.
Yeah, I mean, he's a platitude machine, that's for sure. And in that sense, he would be perfect for a candidate. The problem is that nobody's going to buy what he's selling, right? His era is already over. He already rode to the top of the amusement park ride, and now he's on his descent, right? Part of that is him embarrassing himself along the way, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I almost just expect him to finally wake up and realize that he can't milk this for anything and just kind of let it fucking dissipate into the ether.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I really don't know, because part of me just thinks he's gonna, like, he's already kind of doing his book tour anyway, and it sounds like if he does run for president, it's really just going to be a podcast tour. You know, he said his strategy is just to go on every show that'll have him on. So that's a pretty easy way to run for president while not actually running for president.
We're also perennially running for office too. We'll go on any show that invites us. Don't worry. I have thoughts on America.
But for real, like, he's already trying to go on every show to sell his stupid book. He already said that before ever bringing up the presidential announcement thing. He probably just realized that, like, hey, I'm already going on all these shows anyway. I'll probably get more clicks and more attention if, in addition to talking about my shitty book that no one wants, I also talk about my shitty presidential candidacy that no one asked for. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now we're talking about it, so clearly it fucking worked to some extent.
Yeah, but I don't know if you definitely, if you want to be ridiculed by the people who are supposed to be your base, right? You're supposed to be ridiculed by the enemy. If he had any chance, we would be like his biggest fucking flag waving supporters. We are the deranged online left. We are the dirtbag left that they describe in the New Yorker. Actually, that's Chapo Trap House. But yeah. we are the actual raw sewage version of that, where you know, instead of having $1 million in assets, we are the working poor.